We are back with our series, Life Lessons. This morning, we're going to learn strategies for decision-making. And here to walk us through it is Dr. Sue Varma, board-certified psychiatrist and the author of the book, Practical Optimism. Dr. Varma, always great having you here. You've got always such great advice. So you talk about when we make decisions that are going to lead to some happiness and satisfaction. The first thing we got to realize is there's no such thing as a perfect decision.
No, there's no perfect decision. And instead, many of the good things that happen to us are as a result of a series of very small, intentional micro decisions. And instead, what we really need to look at is what is the long-term goal? What are my values? What are my priorities? And I think that this really helps take the pressure off of any one decision and thinking that there is a perfect right one, because then we perseverate and then don't make a decision, and there's a cost of indecision in and of itself.
Some decisions are just really hard to make. They're not easy. So how do you navigate that?
Yes. So one question that I always ask myself and my patients when they're struggling to make a decision is this a problem to be solved or a truth to be accepted? And once you're able to put things into two different buckets, right? Is there something concrete that I can do towards this today? Is there some small action step? Is there someone I can call that can perhaps help me, perhaps clarify, give me more information? And if not, it goes into the bucket of I have to accept this. And to understand that there might be mixed emotions, and just because you have discomfort doesn't mean that it was a bad decision. It means you're human, and it means that you're able to weigh both sides. And to me, nuanced decision making is a sign of intelligence, emotional intelligence, critical thinking. So I'm all for having mixed emotions.
I love that line, every yes.
Yeah, I was just about to ask about that.
No.
Bring the graphic back up for a second. That graphic that showed us every yes, it requires a no?
Yes, because anytime you're saying yes to something, there's always going to be a sacrifice of your time, right? Like, let's say you're like, I have to go to this party, but then that means I'm not going to be able to be here for that reason. So just being able to weigh something and just say, what are the pros and cons? And then just making a decision, right? Because sometimes you have to just move forward, move and act.
You say most people tend to fall into one of two decision-making styles. What are the styles, and is there one that might be slightly better than the other?
Yes. So it's interesting. Maximizers are the type of people, and we all know them. I think sometimes I fall into that bucket. I know my mom did. We were trying to buy a car, and she was like, but is there a moonroof, right? I was like, Mom, when's the last time you danced, right? Like, when were you dancing through a moonroof, right? And I'm like, why do you need it? There's some people who want to do so much research. They have analysis paralysis, and there is a known thing when you present someone like that too many choices, they can't make a decision, right? And versus limiting something to maybe good enough. And those are what we call the satisficers, right? Like satisfactory, sometimes good enough. They say perfect is the enemy of the good. When you're waiting for perfection, you're waiting for some amazing person to come into your life, it doesn't happen, right? So how can you take what's in front of you and limit and narrow down the choices so you act? Because that's really important.
I think I'm a good enough decider. What are you?
It's just good enough.
I think
it depends on
the decision.
The decision you've got to make.
That's
if it's about your kids or something about their future.
Yes.
You know, so what if you're lucky enough to be presented with, you've got two good options?
Yes.
You know, how do you, I mean, you might almost take too much time because you're saying, well, I got this, but the only other thing I got this, I got this.
Yes. I love that. Look, that's a privileged position to be in, to have two good options, because then that means that there isn't a wrong one, and that there's something called like buyer's remorse, right, or decision regret, where there are people who then like look back and say, what could I have done, right? There's an African proverb that I love, and it says, before marriage, keep two eyes open, and after marriage, keep one eye closed.
That's good.
Dr. Varma, great advice. Thanks so much. Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC, or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.